Hello guys, and welcome back to another web development episode. Today we're going to take a look on how to make this sign up page actually submit something and actually read the data input into these text boxes. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I've opened up here XAMPP and I have started the Apache server and the MySQL server. Now, I don't think we're going to use the MySQL server today, but I have it started over here. So right here into Firefox, I opened up the page. This is what we worked with last time. So we have here the home, and the sign up page. Now the login is blank, but we have here the home and the sign up. And here we have these input fields for our email address, our username, and to input our password and actually confirm it. So right here into Sublime, this is the code we have here. It is into PHP, but we didn't do anything with it yet. So in order to make this work, I'm gonna just have to explain how PHP works and get it started from scratch and explain the basic concepts of PHP. So when you have some PHP code, now you can put it anywhere in the page. And in order to do that, you start by putting the smaller than sign, the question mark, then type in PHP, and here inside you can put your code. And then to close it, you put the question mark and the greater than sign. And then if I refresh, you can see this is some text. And I'm going to explain now what this does. So you can put the code anywhere and you can put it in multiple places. So I can put some PHP also here at the beginning. Now the way this works is when you refresh the page, when you load the page, the code runs. Now, echo means to just output the thing that's inside here. So this is a string. This is called a string, and you can retain words, characters, special characters, basically almost anything. And you can put it into single quotes or double quotes. Okay. But you have to actually start and end with the same kind of quotes. And also, after each statement, you gotta put a semicolon. Now, this worked because we have just one statement, but you generally want to just put a semicolon. So, a string retains multiple characters, just a string of characters. And there is a type to just put characters, and you can also put digits. The thing that is the echo basically replaces it with this thing. So it basically makes this thing, it's just this text in here. So let's delete this text and actually talk about variables and what they are. So variables do exactly what they say. They contain information, and that information is variable, so you can change it. A variable, you just start putting a $sign first, and then you put the name. And here you can put it a string, or you can make my integer here. So I'm going to be 1, 2, 4. My float, that's going to be 12.563. And let's let it like this for now. So I'm going to call this my string. So the way this works is that you can have a string that retains basically words and characters like we talked before, or you can have integers, which basically retains an integer. So a number that doesn't have any decimal, so it's basically just a number that's and it can also be negative, so it can also be negative. And the floating point number is basically a number that has also decimals, so it's a decimal number. And there is also the double precision floating point number that can retain larger values, but PHP will generally just automatically recognize for you the type of variable you put in. Now, the name of the variable can be letters, digits, underscores, and other kind of characters, but a rule to remember is that you cannot start the name of the variable with digits, so this will just throw out an error. So as you can see here on line 2, this is line 2, and it's just because we just put a digit at the start of the name of the variable. So that's something to keep in mind. So you can do something like myString1 and myString2, but you can't do 1myString and 2myString. The thing is with variables is that you can modify them on the go, so when you need them. So you can put now myString is going to be something else. So if I refresh, nothing will display. I meant to actually put some echoes here. So echo my string and echo it also down here, not like this, and PHP echo my string, and we're gonna just close this. So now if I'm gonna refresh, the thing you're going to notice is that here we output the current value of the string, which the current value is string. It executes this code, so it gets line by line. So it's basically working like this. So we have a new variable, it's called myString, and the value is going to be string. What's the next line? Echo myString, so the value of myString is going to be string, and as you can see here, it's displaying string. Then we have a new variable, my integer, -124, and a new variable, my float, that's going to be 12.563. Then the variable myString changes its value, and I forgot the semicolon, to something else. So the current value of my string has changed to something else. That's why it's called a variable, because the content might vary. And here we just put the hypertext markup language. So we put the markup code, and then here we get to another PHP section, and this line of code says echo the current value of my string, which, as we know, it's something else, and you can see it here displayed. So that's basically how PHP works. So you have variables, and you also have an if condition. So you can put if conditions and if, and then in here into the brackets you can put a condition. So for, let's say, my string equals with something else, and here into the curly brackets you can put some code. And so for instance here you can put echo my string, and here I'm gonna just make the variable again, and this time is gonna be string. And as you can see here, so if, and in here we're gonna put the following condition. So if my string is equal, so the single equal means basically, let me just zoom in so you can see better if you're on a small display or something. So the single equal means get this value and put it into my string. So now that means we give the variable this value. The double equals check for them being equal. So if the value of this is equal to this, so this equal means give my string this value. The double equals means check if these are equal. And this expression will have a Boolean value. So a Boolean is basically also a type of data, just like float and int and a string, and it can retain the values false and true. So a Boolean will just retain the true or false. So this kind of expression can be true if this condition is met, or false if it doesn't. So for instance, if I put a variable my bool, I can attribute to it my string equals to something else. And let me zoom out a bit. And in here, instead of putting this expression, I'm going to put just my bool. So what this will do is take the, let's put this into brackets so we can basically separate it. So what this means is my bool will get my boolean will get the value of this expression, which is basically what this one. Now there are multiple signs you can put greater than. Now this works with integers and floating point numbers. Smaller than, you can put greater or equal than, smaller or equal than, and I think there is also the identical. Not all programming languages have it. I don't remember if PHP has it. So what this means, also the type of the variable will be equal. So for instance, I can have my float equals to my int, and if they are both 124, that's going to be true. But if I have the identical, and I don't know if PHP has it, I don't remember, what this means is that my float and my int are going to just return this expression as false, because even though they have the same value, they're not the same type. So one is an integer and one is a floating point number. So something to keep in mind. We're going to find out that in JavaScript as well. That one, I'm pretty sure that one has it, but I don't remember if PHP has it, but I think it does. And we can actually try it out. So if this happens, okay. Oh yeah, this doesn't happen because we have not the something else. Oh yeah, so PHP does have it. So if I put the triple equal will be identical. So what this does is my string gets the value of something else. Then we have this Boolean variable that gets the value of this expression, which is, so you can put this expression straight into here. Nobody's going to say a thing. But I did this just to demonstrate. Usually you put without a variable into the if statement, but you can do it if you have a variable that changes because of a function or something. You're going to see in the future what I'm talking about, but this variable retains this expression, and then if the value of this variable, which is the value of the expression, is true, execute the code inside the curly brackets. And in this case, it's going to just echo my string. And you can also do it, let's say later, you can access the same variable. Okay. So yeah. So if I change this to string, this is not going to work because now it doesn't retain the same value. But let's just prove a bit the point with the identical. So I can show you about that. So if I do get here my int, it's going to be 124, and I'm going to get my float, which is going to be 12.534, and then I'm going to change my float to 124, and then I'm going to just delete this line, and I'm going to put here if my. Now, to be clear, variables don't have to have my into the name. I just name them like this for now. If name equals my int equals my float, echo my float. So yeah, of course, this is just saying that no, my string isn't defined, but let's just delete that really quick. So right here, you can see we have 1, 2, 4. But if I put the equal, the identical, well, it shouldn't display. If I do this, yeah, no, it doesn't display. So let me be clear here. So this, if I put it like this, my float is going to convert to an integer. And because an integer is identical to an integer as a data type, and their values are the same, 124, it's going to just output this number. If I put the decimal point, now this line can be removed. If I put the decimal point, even though it's 0, this is going to be automatically a floating point number. And this is going to be an integer. So if I don't, I'm going to just remove this. You can see it still displays because 124 equals 124. Even though there are different numbers, they are different data types. They're the same number, but even if they are different data types, they have the same value. It's 124. But if I put the identical, this is going to be a floating point number, and this is going to be an integer. So even though they have the same value, they're not the same data type. So thus, it's not going to execute. This is going to be false, and it's not going to execute the code inside the curly brackets. And this means it's not going to echo my float. So let's start to actually getting our values. So the first thing we're going to do is go to our form. So let's make this smaller. Okay, and I'm going to go to form and put action. And I'm going to put sign up.php. So what this will do is basically when you click submit, you're telling the page, look, go to this link, go to this file and load it. And as I told you earlier, when you load the page, you execute all the PHP code inside it. So what that means is basically we are refreshing the page. So we're refreshing the page, and at this point when you click sign up, it's going to refresh the page because we told it to go, load this file. So it's going to load it. And of course you can put different files if you have different code into it. But we're loading this file, and right now it's going to execute this code. So what we're going to do is get here if server of request method equals with post, execute the following code. So what server is a variable that's basically predefined into PHP. So we're checking if the method that the form submits is a post, because there are multiple methods. So get will parse these values in the link. So over here. But we don't want that. We want to make them not visible. So that's why we use the method post. So we check for the method to be post. And also we're going to make here a new thing. We're going to call it session. And we're going to put here message. Okay, we're going to put a message in here. We're going to make this blank. What I'm going to do in here is put here a new span. And I'm going to put style. I'm going to put a color red. family Verdana, and we're gonna make font size 15 pixels, and inside here we're gonna put PHP echo session message, and we're gonna close this and the span. Okay, if that is like that, we get email equals to, wait, the underscore here, and we're gonna put here mail equals with post, and here we're gonna put mail address, and we're gonna do the same to username. We're gonna get the username, and we're gonna also get the password, and pass confirm. So pass confirm, and we're gonna make this to just get the pass confirm, and we're gonna just close this and put like this. Now I'm gonna show later on how to prevent SQL injection. So what that is putting some code into these boxes and is just going to interpret it. So I'm going to show later how to filter these strings so that you just protect yourself against SQL injection. But let's check on what this code does for now. So for now, what we do is establish a variable that's basically predefined, and it's going to be our message. So our message is going to represent the error message marked in red. And if I refresh, just a second, just gonna go here and, okay, there we go. So anyway, we establish this variable in here. This is blank, so it always displays blank as an error message. But when we encounter an error, we're going to just stop the code, and it's going to let us, it's going to continue running, and it's going to get here, and our variable this time is going to have an error message, and it's going to display it, and it's just going to show. So if I put here no errors yet, and I refresh, no errors yet. Now we're going to style that later, but this is basically how it should work. What it should have had is a break line. Okay, and in here we check if the method is post, get into these variables what it posted. So, okay, so what I'm going to do now is echo username, and I want you to pay attention to a thing. So if I put in here test user, and I click sign up, okay, just a second. So to solve this, we're going to use something different. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this blank every time, and okay, I'm going to do this to everyone. So we're going to just delete this and add these. Okay, and now what we're going to do is put another if, and get the function is set, and if username is set I'm going to explain just now what this does. Username. Okay, so what happened is we assign it a null value because we didn't actually put anything. This will get a value of null. And what this will do is just basically call out that error right here. And if we check if this is different than null by using the function isSet, we actually fix that error. So again, so let's take a look on what the code does line by line. So makes a new variable error. No, just sets it as nothing. Then if there is going to display it. But if we posted, then it's going to just set these variables empty for us. And then if these text boxes have, these input fields have set a value in them because we put some input, then it's going to get that value to the variable. And then we're going to display this variable just so we are sure. So I'm going to put here test user. Okay, I'm going to sign up and nothing displays. But what if I... Okay, so let's try something different. So let's try to just make these boxes required. Okay, I'm just going to copy this and paste it into every input box. And I'm not going to put any isSet. I'm going to use that post username. Wait, not here. That's going to be mail address. Then here we're going to have post username, and let's let the passwords empty for now. So here I'm going to put also the session message so we can see our variable changing. It's going to be username. Okay, and we're going to put here test user. Oh yeah. Okay, line 4 and 5. So line 4 and 5. I don't get it why they put it as they get us as blank. Okay, so let's try again with that isSet, because basically what this all means is that there doesn't exist this element in the array. I'm going to explain later what arrays are, but basically the session is not a variable, it's an array. But I'm going to explain later what all that is. But I don't understand why it doesn't see it. So we're going to get that, and we're going to get post of username. And if that is done, we're going to go ahead and set username as post of username. We send it, and nope, still nothing. So, so I just might have realized that it might be because I put no name to it. So let's try that. resend, and if I put here some stuff, yep, there it is. So all I forgot is that it doesn't take the ID, it takes the name. So you also have to set a name for every input method. So basically the code was okay, but the thing is, so let's analyze the code a bit. So in here, we have the element message that's going to be displayed there in case we have an error. Then we get into this if condition. So if the request method is okay, and we use the right request method, get these variables, set them as blank, and if there is a value that's not null inside it, then this variable will get this array's element, and then the message will get the value so we can display it. Now, what's the deal with these arrays? So the error was because this element didn't exist. Now this one, we just created it. So we just created an element to the array. So an array is basically a multitude of variables, and you can either index them with strings or integers. So this array, you can create basically new elements, add elements to the array. But to the post, it's an array that's automatically created by the form when you submit it, and the elements will have the names for your input methods for your specific form. And what we're doing is basically what happens is that the form gets into this array, and the array makes new elements with the names from here, and it gets the value from the input fields. And then when we get and load the code, we have this array pre-existing with the values that were inputted from here. And what we're doing, just getting some variables, and we get the value from the array. So this is basically how to get the value from every box. And what I want you to do at home is actually do it for each input field, so you get the value and put it into each specific variable. So this is it for now. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, click the subscribe button and that little bell to get notified every time I upload a new video. So see you next time on HowToIT.